Zone.
Welcome to Phantom Zone, the podcast where we dredge the lakes of hell in search of the worst the cinematic world has to offer and put it on trial for its various crimes against humanity. Should a film be found guilty, it will be jettisoned into the far, far reaches of space, a Phantom Zone, if you will, where it can't hurt anyone else for the rest of our days, basically. I'm your host, Adrian Torres, and joining me is my good cyber terrorist, hacker, co-host, and friend, Scott Daly.
Hey, how you doing, Adrian? I'm good.
That was good job there with the catch, Scott.
I'm so good at this. I was trying to do was I was trying to look up a funny quote from this movie to say back to you, and it just snowballed from there.
Don't you mean movies?
Because I'm very busy, actually, with all the worldwide action. That's the quote I was looking for. I found it. It just took a little while.
Oh, God. That's all I can.
But yes, I did mean movies.
Yes,
we're doing another twofer.
We did. It felt like the only right way to cover this. I've been asked by a few people, when are you going to get to Neil Breen? And I wanted to push it off for a while because in my mind, his movies had already gotten to the point that they were really well known. And we usually try to tackle like the smaller films that most people don't know. But because I had people trying to push me on saying, you have to see these movies, I thought, you know what? Scott and I will take this one time. We'll do two of them back to back in one episode, and then we'll be able to move away from this. And that was a mistake because even though this is only took up 3 hours and 15 minutes total.
Yes.
That it felt like years were drained from our life.
God, these are the longest 90-minute movies I've ever experienced. I cannot believe, especially the first one.
Well, one of them is 100 minutes, so maybe that's why it felt like the longest 90-minute movie to you.
I guess that technically, an hour 40-minute movie would be the longest hour 30-minute movie ever. So I guess technically you are correct. No, but it was Double Down that felt longer to me.
Oh yeah. Well, when you've got a movie that's comprised about 80% of voiceover and 85% somebody wandering through a desert alone, then yeah, it can feel like that.
So Adrian, who is Neil Breen? Because before this week, I didn't know who this person was. I was ignorant of Neil Breen, and my life was better for it. But not anymore.
Neil Breen is, well, he's a filmmaker. We can say that much at least, because he's made 4 films, is currently working on a 5th film to come out next year, and his films are not necessarily what you'd call good. I mean, he says that he is an outsider, that he's not part of Hollywood's inside group, and, makes things the way he wants to, the way movies are supposed to be made. He is an architect who lives in Las Vegas, and that's how he makes the majority of his money. But if you look online, you can actually find banner type cards from when he was a real estate agent years ago, because he did receive his real estate license and then decided that he didn't like selling houses and that he was going to design houses and other things instead. But through those architecture gigs that he gets, that's how he finances all of his movies. And not only does he finance these movies, but he directs, acts, I guess rights, you could say. He does various other things, but then he's also got really weird credits, like in Double Down. It says lighting, none, location, none.
It's like he used, you can download credits templates.
Yes.
On the internet, that have and you're just supposed to fill in the names. It's like he did that, and then instead of removing the credit, just put none in there.
He just leaves it in.
Yeah, there's this whole like subculture of people that love these type of like earnest but terrible films. The Room is the most famous of them.
Yeah.
Tommy Wiseau's movie that got much bigger than cult classic, but this guy apparently is very well known in this circle that of course I am not a part of, so I was blissfully ignorant of him. But we're going to get into these movies, but I can see on some level the appeal. I can see why there would be people that would enjoy this. And I mean, the one thing you can't say is this is clearly this guy's vision. He's clear, like, not only is he, like, they don't follow any of the conventions of normal filmmaking. He's really just doing whatever the hell he wants. And there's a certain, I guess, pride that you can see in that is admirable. Because you can tell he's very proud of his work and himself, because these movies are also excuses to make himself be the most badass person ever. But I mean, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed the badness in some of this.
Well, okay. So we saw the first and the third of the four that are out now. The very first one we did was Double Down, and we saw that, and then we also saw Fateful Findings, which we'll get to. But the first one, Double Down, we ended up seeing on YouTube because there was one that was there. That's where people directed me and said, hey, this is going to be the easiest way for you to watch it. And I said, okay, well, I still want to do my part. I want to try to find a way to rent it at least. And if I'm not able to do that, then we can watch it on YouTube, and I won't feel as bad. And I'll find a way to contribute if I can. So it's not available on any normal streaming platform because you're not able to rent it. The only thing that you can do is you can buy it, but buying it is kind of an arduous task. You can either go to Neil Breen's actual website or one of the 4 different individual websites that he made for each of his movies. Now, those will go to basically kind of a basic website. I guess that's what you would call it. They all kind of look the same. They've got, the title of the movie, and then it's either like .biz or maybe it's .com if it hasn't been taken. But it's like the most rudimentary website that you can think of. And the main thing that's on all of them is a PayPal link for shipping either to the US or to an international country. And he says on every single one of them that it's 3 to 4 weeks for delivery. So you can literally picture like Neil Breen at home getting an order in and being like, oh, okay, I'm going to get to that in a bit.
Got to drive out to the post office, drop this off myself.
Basically. But he even says on there, he has a note that mentions that when you're paying through PayPal, under where it says notes, you have to put in which movie you want. So even though he has 4 different websites, they all link to the same PayPal page, and you have to type in if you want Pass Through, if you want Fateful Findings, if you want Double Down, or I Am Here Now.
Yeah, and like there's something endearing about that to me. Like the fact that this is like we've watched so many movies that are just like people trying to make a quick buck. Yeah. And this guy is not making movies to make money. I mean, I doubt his movies have profited him in any way, shape, or form. They have. Really?
They have. He mentioned it on his, if you go to his GoFundMe page for his most recent movie that he's working on, which I guess he's still financing himself because he's starting shooting like next week. But first of all, he's only made $5,000 of the $50,000 that he needs to fund the GoFundMe project. But he mentions in it that a couple of his movies have been able to make the last two actually have had small theatrical runs in different cities, and that he's made back the money from that so that he can say that they're profitable. But his most recent movie, which we didn't get to cover because unfortunately I wasn't going to spend $30 just for one of these movies sight unseen, knowing nothing about it, and then have to wait 3 to 4 weeks. But his most recent movie is called Pass Through. And if you go to his website for it, he's listed some reviews that he got from people. And the reviews include, "We loved it. We all cheered constantly. We gave it a standing ovation. Wonderful, inspired, amazing visionary.
Really detailed criticisms.
A blast. We had a great time. Fantastic. A big screen film. And a film event in quotation marks for all."
A movie.
I'm none of those are exactly what you would want gracing your DVD.
So I'm looking at his GoFundMe now, and someone donated $10 to this and said, "I have donated. I also have a broken laptop from about 2003. Would be more than happy to pay to have it shipped from the UK if you think you can contrive to break it for no reason at some point."
That's the best entry point into Double Down.
Yeah.
Double Down mostly centers on Neil Breen out in the desert with 4 to 5 laptops around him, a broken down direct TV satellite dish, and then it's a Rolls, isn't it? Or is it a?
I think it is. I think it's a Rolls because I think it's the same car that he uses later in a Fateful Findings, and they specifically mention it's a Rolls. So.
But that's the main set piece is the car. He lives in the car because his character, whose name is Aaron, is one of those wonderful bad movie traditionalist characters where he's magically great at everything. Everything. He's the world's greatest hacker. He's the world's greatest assassin. He is also a complete crazy person.
He has every single medal ever awarded by the United States government.
No. He said I've won many medals for distinguished service.
And sometimes he just likes to stand in the middle of the desert and put them all on, and then immediately take them off when he's done
on a denim sleeveless jacket. Because nothing says war veteran to him than that.
Hey, Adrian, what does Neil Breen like to eat?
He likes to attempt to eat cans of tuna. And I say attempt because the only time we actually see him in the act of eating is when he's driving down the road and he spills half the container on his lap.
And almost drives off a cliff.
When the movie starts, he's wandering the desert and giving endless voiceover. The first several minutes are basically completely silent except for a slight droning musical score. And we can't really credit anybody with the music because as far as we know, it's probably something that he got off of archive.org or is just some generic public domain piece he found.
I think half the movie is public domain stuff he found. So
yeah, half the footage is just of random things that he was able to find.
Yeah.
The movie starts with a sweeping vista shot that looks like somebody's well, we're not going to use this for, planet Earth. So we're just going to dump it somewhere.
$5 for vista shot.
He also makes sure to mention in one of the earliest voiceovers that he met the love of his life at age 7 and stayed with her, and they're getting married. But then 2 seconds later, he goes from "and we're getting married" to that he was doing acts that caused people to assassinate my fiance and break my heart forever. And so he goes from and we're getting married to they assassinated my fiance.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the span of about 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, and then like 20 minutes down the road, we'll get to see both that proposal and assassination, because they occur within 5 seconds of each other.
Yep. He also mentions that he's able to access anything and everything from his brilliant, simple setup.
Yeah, and no one can find him because he found a way to make a shield that both makes his car seemingly invisible and also
They
blows
can see
up
his car. They just can't see him.
Well, but like it was cutting back and forth, and like sometimes it was just the car without him, and then sometimes it was just the background without the car in it at all. So I couldn't tell what was going on.
I don't know how the force field that was caused by the satellites in the sky killed the dude.
It did. You get too close and you just die.
You just die. That's just it. He's also able to get absolute perfect cell phone reception out in the middle of the desert when he's not by his little satellite.
Yeah, but not just once. Like 4 times, because he's got 4 different flip phones on him at all times.
He's checking. Well, the flip phones are okay because this is still 2005 when he made the movie.
There's a version of this movie in which this guy's just actually a crazy person, because like
it's not even so much that he's a crazy person. I mean, I'm still trying to go over my notes to remember where certain pieces are, just because like the dialogue and things that he's saying are completely insane. After he's already mentioned that he's going to get married, and then mentions that they assassinated his fiance, so he can't be getting married because she's dead. He also then refers to her as my girlfriend. So he's taking step backs. And I know, but I'm saying he's taking step backs. It's going to, and we're getting married, and then, but she's already dead, my fiance, and then just my girlfriend. So like he's recessing in his mind. Well,
he also carries her corpse around with him wherever he goes. So,
Yeah. In the bag, but he's going crazy. So he's visualizing that she's moving around in the bag.
Yeah, but sometimes, so there's the weird shot where like it looks like he's like in the bag with her, doing her. And then there's sometimes when she's a skeleton in the bag, and sometimes when you just see her hair popping out of the bag as if she's just in there as her body. It's so weird.
I'm going to take this moment and apologize to everyone, because if it seems like we're not making any sense, this is what it feels like to watch the movie.
That's very true.
Because
I have no idea what this movie's about.
The editing is so choppy that you're having shots that aren't matching up with the voiceover that you have. And none of it's connecting. And even when pieces do seem to kind of connect, they then get basically retconned out of existence in the next scene. But then the movie's also trying to go so far to explain the actions of what's happening or to draw sympathy for the character, because he mentions that he's the world's greatest assassin and that he gets paid to do various jobs for different corporations to take different people out and hack into various things. And then he says, but I give all the money away to various children's charities and evacuations for victims of national disasters.
Like the ones I cause.
No, because he goes, for victims of natural disasters, ... like hurricanes, ... like Katrina. And it's trying to build up this character, that he's supposed to be the best at what he does, but he's also the nicest guy in the entire world. Except for the difference in this movie is he has a part where he goes, governments know not to kill me because I placed 7 biological bombs in major cities. My comments were 2 things when he says this. 1, they've killed the love of your life / girlfriend / fiance to send a message to you. B, you're a supervillain. You need to accept this.
Yeah, he has 7 dead man traps around the world, and he's just like, I am a good guy. I'm a good guy.
Exactly.
And the plot of this movie revolves around killing every single person in Las Vegas.
So shutting down the Las Vegas Strip for 2 months. The negative effects for it come in like later. Like you're not told for a long period of time. All you know is that he has to shut down the Las Vegas Strip for 2 months
by releasing biochemical weaponry.
Because he also has bioelectric chemical implants in his body that allow him to control any machinery at any time that he wishes.
I mean, you gotta have those if you're going to be an international terrorist / white collar crime murderer.
Oh my god! He mentions that he eliminates white collar criminals who slip through the system. So he views himself as a vigilante, even though he has all these bombs around. So it's basically if Batman and the Joker were the same person.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just like living out in the desert, living off of tuna. There's human skeletons strewn about everywhere.
Yes.
I assume,
well, except for the one hand that he has that's reaching out from the ground.
Yeah. It's so stupid.
Well, he also mentions he refers to himself as "I'm just a simple person."
He's the opposite of a simple person.
I don't need much. I just eat tuna out of the can and live in the car. Literally a line of his from the movie. Did
they have those tuna to go packs in 2005? Because I think that would have been a game changer.
They definitely do, but all he has is just cardboard boxes full of either tuna containers or empty tuna cans.
It's so insane. And that's what I mean. Like there's a version of this movie where we're just like hearing the ramblings of a crazy man who thinks he's doing all these things, but really he's just hanging out in the desert eating tuna and playing on broken laptops and not actually doing anything.
And losing his mind. That's another through line for the film, is that he's constantly hallucinating things.
Yeah, he sees his dead parents. You don't know if it's...
And then questions people about it in the next scene. Like he's constantly in the desert, except for like the 5 times that he isn't. And one of those times right before one of those times, he's down at the edge of a lake, just with his knees in the water, and believes that he sees his parents beckoning him forth. But he's talking to them as if they're regular people, but then questions why they're there. And then he is seen sitting at a table with, I guess, friends that he randomly knows. I think one of the other guys was an agent with the same organization that he was with.
It's possible.
And the friend ended up going, "We had a great time when we were out at the lake." And he immediately goes, "Oh, did you see my parents there?" "Oh, never mind."
And then
because he realizes, oh shit, that's a hallucination. They might think I'm crazy if I talk about that.
But it's okay, because the conversation immediately moves to, oh, by the way, our daughter has an inoperable brain tumor.
Oh, it's okay, because I magically found this rock that this old man gave me.
Crazy old man in the desert gave me.
Crazy old man comes out of nowhere, takes one step, barely stumbles, cracks the back of his head open, and then it's like, here, you can have this rock that all it looks like is a piece of fool's gold.
Yeah, it's pyrite. That's what it is. And then it cures cancer, though. Or no, it doesn't actually.
We don't know. He holds it really tightly in one hand and then taps the girl on the head. And they're like, okay, that seems kind of weird. And about 5 minutes later, he's talking to the apparition of his dead love of his life, girlfriend, fiance, and says, "I think I cured a girl's brain cancer." We never get a follow-up past
We
that.
actually do.
Just...
We actually do.
Yeah,
like there's...
How do I forget about that?
Because it's really quick. He gets a random phone call, and he says, "What? No, I cured her." And then that's it.
Well, then maybe that phone call that he's getting is basically saying, "Oh, yeah, Janet died." And
I think
that's his response is, "No, I cured her." And it's like, well, no, you don't have the magical powers that you thought.
Turns out it was just a rock.
One of my favorite notes that I have for this movie is 18 goddamn minutes in, and someone on screen finally speaks. Instead of voiceover, it's a fucking flashback. An awkward, naked marriage proposal of a flashback.
Oh God, that marriage proposal is so weird. So it's not even, I guess it's a hot tub. I don't know. It's not like
it's out in the middle of nowhere. It's as awkward as the pool that's in the Diamondback Stadium.
Yeah. And this is so strange because this is a trend that we see through the next movie too, where the woman in the shot is topless.
Yes.
But because she's topless,
her back to the audience.
Yeah, her back is to the camera, and she never turns because I guess Neil Breen is like very concerned with not showing any nudity, even though he requests people to get naked a lot. So now they just have to shoot the shot where the marriage proposal is done with her back to the audience because she can't turn around, and then also because she's about to get assassinated, she gets shot in the small of her back for some reason.
Well, not only that, but she has like the weirdest thong I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's like nude color. Like it almost looks like she's naked.
Yeah, except for it's tan line colored basically. So it looks like it's a tan line on her body, and then she just has no ass crack.
Yeah,
which was creeping me out at first until she moved and it moved a little bit independently of her, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's an article of clothing that's on you.
Our boy Neil Breen, on the other hand. Totally naked.
Full Bruce Willis in Color of Night. You see some balls and some taint.
There's some taint there. There's some definitely taint action. So that's a great scene.
Not what you're expecting. And it's so he proposes to her and everything, and he's talking to her for a minute and wanting to get frisky. And then a sniper ends up shooting her. And he grabs her and yells, but the way that he yells, it looks like he's both in agony and possibly ejaculating.
I mean, let's remember he's naked, so
yes,
that is absolutely what's happening.
It's just, it's I don't know. It's so awkward, and then he's just running his hands through her blood. And just has the blood on his hands and everything.
Yeah, and then he's got like a flower in his hand that's covered in blood. And
I think the flower was in her hair, even though she was shot in her back.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, there's two shots of her laying on her stomach, floating in the water, and one of them, her back has zero blood on it, and then we cut to another one where it's covered in blood.
Yes, and he's also face down in the water.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense.
Yep. It doesn't matter because then it goes back to him doing more voiceover. What's going on basically in today, whatever the present is supposed to be. And he ends up getting contacted by one of his old agents and just casually meets him. But the way they shoot the meeting, you see him walking up to the guy, but then every other shot was done on different days because Neil Breen is constantly filmed looking off to the right, and then they have a guy in another shot who's looking over to the right in the direction where Neil Breen's supposed to be. So one guy's looking at Neil Breen, and then Neil Breen's looking away from that guy, even though they're having a conversation, even though most of it's dictated by Breen giving a lecture on one thing or another, even though he starts by talking to him saying, I'm not going into your offices as I know they're all bugged and there's skeletons in there.
That's never explained.
Nope. But he's trying to tell them that there's a lot going on that they don't know about in the government, and that there's things, disasters that are going to happen, some of them man-made, some of them not. And he mentions that they're going to be bigger than 9/11 or any of the other catastrophes recorded in time after 9/11 that the public wasn't even aware of.
There's so much Neil Breen here, I feel. Like there's so much of his personal political opinions sprinkled throughout these movies. Because he has comments like that, and then he has comments like, governments today don't even know how to fight the modern wars. They don't even know what real war is. And it's just like, it's crazy.
The military is not prepared for the war at hand that is coming, because the war that will be coming will not be nuclear, but will be chemical and biological weapons. Constantly repeated. He's obsessed with the possibility of biological and chemical weapons. He has an entire monologue that he does explaining how easy it is for somebody to build a biological weapon and to easily destroy a city and kill thousands.
That's because he's doing it in the movie.
But in the same time, in this breath, he keeps mentioning terrorist. And the funny thing is, what we know about his character, he's a terrorist himself.
Absolutely.
It's basically like hiring Goldfinger to capture Blofeld. That's the ridiculous thing about him, is that he's a bad guy the entire time, but in his mind, he's supposed to be good. And then he's continually mentioning that he's waking up every single day on the floor of the desert, and there's a "help me" written on his car in blood, and then he yells out to no one who's there, which is confusing in the edits, because anytime that we see him asleep in the car, he's shirtless with usually 1 to 2 guns on his chest.
Yeah, so is he writing in his own blood, "help me" on the car?
See, that's what I was thinking, but there's something that, I mean, we're missing plenty as is, but when he wakes up, he's always fully clothed on the ground. When he's falling asleep in the car with the comforter that he magically has, but he's always shirtless with the gun on his chest.
Yeah, believe it or not, this Neil Breen movie does not make sense.
No. And then if he's not talking about bioterrorism or how he has hacked all the most super secretest of agencies, then he's seeing a vision of himself as a child, as well as the love of his life, girlfriend, fiance, as both an adult and a child wandering around, and usually yelling, "come back" to them.
Yeah, and it cuts between them regularly. He sees the two of them as kids, and then he sees himself as a kid sitting in the passenger seat of his car next to him as he's driving. It's really weird. I don't know what he's trying to say with any of this.
No, while he covers everything else, he doesn't really cover that at all. He just leaves that, and he's also convinced that the rock that he has, that he will be able to find a way to bring the love of his life, girlfriend, fiance, back to life. Even though she continually tells him that he needs to let go of her and forget about her, which then turns into scenes of him making out with her.
Yeah, it's I guess you're supposed to think that this magical rock is the way he's going to bring her back to life, but
yeah.
I still don't get the magical rock.
At all.
No.
There's even a part when he's talking to the apparition that I'm like, or that he gets a call for a job that he needs to do, and all of a sudden he's back in Las Vegas in a suit, and he drives to a wedding chapel, and I literally wrote in my notes, I go, oh shit, he's going to marry the memory of his dead fiance.
That would have been way more interesting than what actually happens.
No. Instead, there are 2 couples outside of a church. He shakes all of their hands and then says that he's the driver to 2 of them and has them in the back of his car. And the shot they have is of a car driving down the street. But then anytime they go to Neil Breen himself, you can tell that the car's just stopped in a parking lot, and he puts a drug or he injects a strawberry with a drug and then gives the drink to the two people in the back.
Yeah, the two people in the back who are mid-panic attack about the fact that they just met 2 days ago and are now married.
And are getting married. But then they completely resolve it at the same time, too.
Yeah, that's true. Because every conflict in this movie resolves by the next shot. Not even the next scene. If there's a shot change, conflict over.
That's, yeah. Anyways, so the guy ends up drinking the drink and gets poisoned and knocked out, basically, and thrown in the back of the trunk of the car. But the girl that he's just married ends up coming to while Neil Breen's sitting in the front seat, and she's like, "What are you doing? What am I doing here? What's going on?" And he has this great moment where he goes, "Oh, it's Vegas. We met at the club. We went dancing, had sex by the fountains, got married. That's Vegas, baby." And like the girl's freaking out in the back, and he ends up taking a phone call to find out that he got the wrong couple, and which leads to probably one of my favorite moments of the movie.
But I've changed my mind. Get out! Get out! The marriage is over. Get out!
It's completely insane. I don't.
Yeah, this is what I'm going to tell my wife every time I talk to her. Anytime she's getting out of the car, I'm dropping her off somewhere.
Just yell it.
That's when I'm going to yell it. The marriage is over. Get out!
So he goes in search of the couple that he was originally supposed to get, which leads to another great moment where the voiceover says they committed suicide, a suicide pact. They knew what was coming for them. But he doesn't explain. Like, he doesn't explain who these people are or why.
Doesn't matter.
How he magically knew it. And at the same time, the way that they committed suicide is they both are shot square on in the same part of the skull, which in the front of the skull, the very center front, directly above between the eyebrows. That might be easy to shoot another person in, but it's a very difficult angle for you to get, like, to shoot yourself.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how they pull that one off.
I don't know. I don't want that episode of Mythbusters. That's all I can say. It's just very difficult, and but it's earnest. He's trying. It's that's the weird thing. All this stuff is bad, but like he's going to the hilt. He's trying for as crazy as these movies are. Like, he never lets up.
Because there's movies like I hate like the Sharknado movies, because like those are movies that are like intentionally setting out to make a piece of shit that people go and laugh at. This is not that movie. Like, he cares about this stuff. And yes, it's bad. Yeah, he doesn't know how to make movies. It's very clear that he has no idea how to make movies, but there's earnestness behind it, and I think that's so important here.
It's so weird. Like, because it works in that regard, and I don't. Oh my god, that's all I gotta say. But he's very passionate, but just trying to figure out what's going on is the difficult part, because he's got a lot that he wants to say, and the editing is not helping him, and because he's relying on voiceover, you're trying to piece together what he's saying, and it's not in a way of like a God, what am I trying to think of word-wise? Unreliable narrator. It's not one of those situations, because his character being the best and smartest at everything, he's the person who can convey exactly what it is that is going on, because of how he's presented himself. And that's why it's so weird that things get twisted later on in the movie, where he picks up this guy who's an assassin who probably assassinated his love of his life, girlfriend, fiance, because we're not directly told. We're just told, oh, it's that guy. And he's got a terrible, horrible disguise on his face, which the movie works into. Oh, yeah, no, that's not the makeup department doing a crappy job. That's the character doing a crappy job. And when he pulls off the fake mustache, one of the agents sees, and then it's like, oh, it's that guy. But that's literally how they refer to him, is that he's the guy or he's that guy.
Yeah.
And then you end up having, as he says, this is an anthrax deal. And he mentions double crossing and then double teaming people, but you have no idea, what's going on. Because he makes the actual line. He says, I need to keep up my cover with these agents.
Yeah, so it's like he's working with the government to bust anthrax dealers or something.
And then he says, I have friends coming in just in case. But again, you're never told who these people are.
Yeah, it's the drone, his friend drone. It's so funny because throughout the movie he talks to various people or some things, but because he has no money, when he's talking to a government organization or something, if it's not those two agents, it just cuts to B-roll of guys standing in a command center and him barking orders and them just staring at computer screens. And then it cuts back.
Or shots that look like it was mission control at NASA.
Yeah, it's old footage. You can tell the computers are 80s and 70s style computers, even though he's got his great early 2000 laptops.
Yes, which are never on.
No, they never see the screen actually have anything in it. But he's my favorite, and they use this scene twice in the movie where he's sitting in the back of the car and has 4 laptops open, and he's typing on every single one of them.
And the clacking's so loud on the keyboard.
Yeah.
All this is being intercut with those apparitions. And when we say intercut, it's not like one scene ends and they go to it. It's in the middle of the scene. So you'll have him at the keyboard, and then it goes to a shot of him on a mountaintop with the apparition and holding her hand saying, our love will never die. Even in death, it'll go on. And then it'll cut back and he's using a wrench to adjust the satellite dish.
Yeah, he's using a wrench to adjust the satellite dish that's clearly already on there, and he's just hitting it with the wrench, and then he's done.
Jeez. He's only got 4 guns that I think he either owns or rents, because there's a part where he has them sitting next to the car against the rocks, just set up like he's going to have a big gun battle, but he doesn't have the money at all, so we don't get that. There's also another little clip that we'll drop in here where he's at the end of his rope, and it's he professes his love. Insert other clip.
I'm writing down the time.
I'll send it to you. But it's all not making sense. I mean, it's great. Oh yeah, you know, he's an American. He loves his country. I don't know why everything's getting patriotic all of a sudden. But it's overly patriotic, but it never comes into play because he's continually mentioning that they can't do anything to him because he's got these weapons that are spread out. Well, and he even develops a conscience at the end all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's I think where the patriotism comes in, because he suddenly decides that I can't keep doing this anymore. I love my country. I need to stop it. So he tries to call off everything, but he can't call off. So he sets off. Here's I'm trying to wrap my head around this. The attack on Vegas is a biological weapon he's going to release.
Yes,
but he has scheduled several diversionary attacks in various cities to distract the government from what he's going to do in Vegas, which I don't understand why that's necessary if all he has to do is he's shown how easy it is to release a biological agent, he has all these like airborne agents that kill people instantly. So that
because he can go up and shake somebody's hand, and within 5 minutes that person's going to be dead.
Yeah, so that's really easy to do. But anyway, the point is, he decides last minute he wants to stop all this, but he can't stop the distraction events, which are just, I guess, like he set one building on fire in a small town or something, because that's the footage we see.
Yes. That's cut into everything.
Yeah, so he stops. So the victory moment of the film is when he stops the big attack. But he still, presumably, did these huge, terrible things in 7 other cities or whatever.
Well, because they show, like, riots breaking out and, like, just mass hysteria. And then he follows it up by saying, I tried to stop the attacks that he started as much as I could. I hope this shows what side I'm on. My allegiance is to my country.
Yeah, but you did all that other stuff, too.
They even mentioned that thousands of people died.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't... the movie, he does that, and then I guess he gets over his wife because she's in the back seat, but then she disappears, and then he drives away. Like, I don't... At one point, it seems like he's going to kill himself so he can be with her, but that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So he just drives away with his tuna, and then end of movie.
Yep. It's the ravings of somebody who's trying to get over, like, either a loss or a breakup, or, you know, that's trying to work through it, because he even's got the part before he has the turn and realizes that he wants to try to do things for good. He says, Las Vegas, here I come. Soon you'll be just as alone as me. And you're like, whoa, okay, you're working through something. You've got a guy who's going to try to kill thousands of people in the city, also that people can feel as alone as him.
Yeah, and the important part about that quote is it's literally the next scene where he then gets a conscience and then decides, I can't do this.
Well, this is also a movie where he's wandering through the desert, comes across a ram skull, and accidentally cuts his leg, and is really sad, you know, because he's bleeding alone in the desert. His love of his life, girlfriend, fiance, apparition, shows up, waves her hand over the leg, and he's magically healed.
Which means is kind of confirmation that this was not just in his head, that this was actually happening.
Yeah. Well, he picks her up and, you know, walks off with her, and then all of a sudden they pop her out and say that she wasn't there. And then he gets in the car and she's sitting in the back seat, and then she's not there. So that's
supposed to be visual shorthand for I am over her death now.
I don't know if we can even, you know, take that or try to guess if that's it. There is no cipher for this movie. There's no way to decrypt whatever it is. And I think that's what makes it so weird and like an interesting train wreck, because there's no way to try to figure it out. And there's no one who could. I mean, you'd have to ask him, and he'd have to be willing to be candid to say exactly what it is that he was going for, because there's just too many pieces that don't add up.
Yeah, he's trying to do like 5 different movies at the same time.
And he only had the budget for a quarter.
For less than one movie, yeah.
I don't. Do you have a ray of sunshine for this one?
Let's see. I think I wrote something down. I have to check. I think the slow-mo laptop destruction was my ray of sunshine.
Oh, wait. Oh, after he tries to save the day, or at least saves it as much as he can, he takes a giant rock and basically recreates the opening or monkey part of 2001.
Yeah.
And in slow motion destroys his laptop.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed that.
There's several primal yells in the movie that I enjoyed. just because they come out of the blue. It's not like really at a cathartic moment. Just he's going to yell for the hell of it.
Yeah. Well, they like no one in these movies are good actors. So when they try to go for emotion,
barely anybody to act with.
So when they try to go for emotion, though, they tend to Neil Breen especially tends to go way too much.
Yeah, I mean, the next movie I think covers that better, and that's Fateful Findings. The main difference between the two of them is the jump in quality from like camera wise, and what I mean about that is it's more clarity.
Yeah, he has more money. You can tell he has more money. He has not picked up any skill, but he has the money.
I'm not sure if we could say the first part about Neil Breen. What we'll say is that technology has advanced, so the type of camera he can get.
But he can hire more actors. He does not use B-roll. There's no stock footage in Fateful Findings.
The opening of the movie is definitely
okay. Any helicopter shot, like any wide shot, but it's much less. It's much less in this movie, and it has special effects because there's cool wispy cloud things and the most hilarious car crash I've ever seen.
The wispy cloud things, I'm pretty sure were supposed to be ghosts.
Who knows? It was a fateful finding.
Fateful Findings was made in 2013. It actually had one of its first premieres at of all things, Button-A-thon, because Double Down had become a favorite for several people over the years, and one of the creative directors for then Drafthouse Films ended up showing Tim League Double Down and bringing him into the Breen world, and he had heard that Fateful Findings had just gotten finished being made, and he convinced Harry Knowles to show it at Button-A-thon in 2012 before the movie actually opened itself.
Wow!
So that's kind of what started this crazy wave for Fateful Findings. And Fateful Findings is the only one of his movies that you can actually get through normal means. You can buy the DVD on Amazon, and then if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can see it for free on Prime Video. But then if you go to like iTunes, you can actually rent or buy a digital copy of the movie. The same thing with Vudu and Google Play. So Fateful Findings is the one that most people have probably seen. For good reason, it does have more of the stereotypical so bad it's good trappings that you'd find.
Yeah, I enjoyed this film a lot.
I'm 50-50. There's times that I almost like it's going to sound fucking terrible to say, but almost the sincerity and the purity of Double Down.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
There's times where he feels like he's trying a little bit harder, and there's moments that feel like he's almost more self-aware, but because he is Neil Breen and he doesn't know how to do things, that it still falls flat completely.
Yeah.
So Fateful Findings is both the same and totally different from Double Down.
It has laptops, it has magical stones, and it has hacking.
And it has people who have been in love with each other since they were children, except for not really, because they've been separated since
Yeah. And importantly, the person, like, this is where it gets kind of creepy. Like, I understand you're writing a movie that you're putting yourself in, so you want to cast some good-looking girl as your co-star, but Neil Breen is considerably older than his co-stars.
He's got to be at least like 15 years. Like,
I think that's conservative.
Oh yeah, if you were creeped out at all by Tommy Wiseau and the girl who plays Lisa, because they clearly have an age difference. It's far worse when it comes to Breen and any of the women that he shares a scene with.
Especially when it's established that they knew each other when they were 8, when he clearly has at least 15 years, probably closer to 20 on her, and it's just normal. Very strange.
He can't even keep that straight, by the way. It changes between 8 and 9.
Yeah,
he continually says, we knew each other when we were 8 years old. I've known her since she was 8. I fell in love with this girl when I was 9 years old. When I was 9 and I first saw her. And it's just like, you're like, I'm not sure if I can believe you because you're not able to keep this straight. And it's a day that most people would remember because when we first see them, the movie starts with these two kids who are walking over probably the majority of the opening credits. We don't know who they are or why they're together, but they end up going to a tree that has a giant mushroom underneath it. And this poor kid has to hold his hands at a weird angle showing off the mushroom because they very, very slowly dissolve and turn it into a magical box.
Yep. And what's inside the magical box, Adrian?
It's got a magic black stone.
Yeah. Another black, and this one's not pyrite like the other. This is a different rock.
No.
But it also apparently has magical powers.
We don't know. It's never fully explained. After he takes the rock out of the box, he gets ready to put it back into the ground. But Leia, his girlfriend, friend, whatever that he's in love with, ends up mentioning, no, you have to put something bad or back into the box, otherwise it's bad luck. And I'm like, I don't know what this is supposed to mean. That's never something that I've ever heard.
Well, fortunately, there's all these little charm beads right next to where the thing is.
That fall off the top of the box. So
yeah,
I think that's kind of a bum deal. You shouldn't be able to give the leftover discarded remnants that just happen to be on top of it.
Yeah, but she's going to take some of them home to make a bracelet out of.
Yes.
So we can know who she is in 20 years.
Yeah, and she's also going to write in her notebook, "It's a magical day," directly after she says, "It's a magical day."
And she's going to write it diagonal in the middle of a page, in the middle of the notebook that looks like nothing else is written in it.
And then the very next day, she ends up getting in the car with her parents because her dad's being transferred to a new location. And she stands there going, "Where's Dylan? Where's Dylan?" And then casually the little boy actor takes 2 steps in, walks, hugs her, then takes 2 steps back to be off camera, and then walks back on the camera because he realizes, oh, my scene's not over yet.
Yeah. And then they have to wave awkwardly at each other as she drives away. And
did you notice that they didn't even try to get fake tags or anything for the Lexus?
No, I didn't.
Because while they're driving off, you can tell that there's a little sign that's signed by like the dealership giving them access to the car for the day, and he made sure to keep it in the shot.
That's awesome.
Because he's Neil Breen and he doesn't understand that that's not something you can do. But at the same time, he could easily be like, we're going to do that in post, and he's like, who am I talking to? I'm the only person who does post.
Yeah,
and I don't know how to do that. Well, we're leaving it in the movie.
I'll make the editor fix that in post, but I'm not going to do it.
And we get what may be one of my favorite parts of the movie that almost seems like parody, but the movie's not aware enough to be parody. And that's, we see the adult Neil Breen talking on the phone, but it doesn't start on his side. It starts on his wife's side, who's cleaning dishes, then picks up the phone and is having a one-sided conversation. But the scene keeps cutting back to Neil Breen as if he's going to say something to continue the conversation, but all you can hear is the recording as on the screen. Sounds like it's coming through his phone, but it's still her just having the one-sided conversation. So they show him saying nothing, and you hear her going, "Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. I agree with that." And you're like, they're not even bothering to have him say any dialogue. You can just hear her continue on with the conversation.
Yep, that'd be too much editing.
And then we see him get ready to cross the street, and he drops his phone and then gets hit by a car.
But that special effect actually looked kind of good.
It looked kind of good until they showed the front of the car and the fake blood that was on it.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they cut to something else. But the actual effect of him getting struck by the car was surprisingly good, because I really expected them to just cut and make a noise and then have him on the floor, and they didn't do that.
I laughed because it looked hilarious.
It was really funny.
It shouldn't be that funny, but him getting hit by the car, and then an hour later when they revisit the shot with no explanation, is equally as funny.
It is arguably better the second time around.
They do that other thing that I hate in movies where a whole bunch of people gather around a body and somebody yells, "Hey, somebody call a doctor, get an ambulance." Even though everyone who's around has a cell phone, even the person who's telling everyone else to make the call, it's like, just make the call yourself. You can do that. You can even take the phone out of the guy's pocket without moving his neck, because I know that's the main rule. But for Neil, it doesn't matter, because there's blood all over the front of the car, and there's blood all down his face. And then a woman gets out of the Rolls Royce and comes over to do what, Scott?
I don't know. It seems like she's trying to take the rock from him.
No, she gives him the rock.
Really?
Yeah.
What? I thought the rock was just under his hand, and she was reaching down to get it, and he just picked it up to keep it from her.
It looked like he was trying to reach for the phone.
What? This changes everything. What?
Because I was pretty sure that she put it in his hand. That's what it looked like to me.
To me, it looked like he was like searching for it, and then she was going to grab it, and then he grabbed it first. But I don't know. I don't know.
Because his phone was sitting there, and that's what he was trying to get. Because when he gets hit by the car, the lady who plays his wife is just yelling in the phone, going, "Hello? Hello?" And mentioning his name, Dylan, and going, Dylan, are you there? Dylan, pick up the phone. And you can see his hand moving, trying to get to the phone. And then the magic rock gets put in his hand by her, which really confused me. So then he ends up in the hospital with half his face covered up. His doctor has the worst bedside manner. In general, because the doctor's there, and he's like, I don't think he's gonna make it.
Well, and
you're like, what?
I mean, you gotta be honest.
Doesn't look good. And then he says, I need you guys to wait, because the head of the oncology department, the head of the neurology department is going to be showing up in a minute. This female doctor walks in, takes his pulse. Takes
his pulse, even though we clearly hear the machine measuring his heartbeat in the background.
And then says, he isn't my patient, but let me know how he's doing.
What are you doing in this room? Did you just walk around the hospital?
Exactly. You're the doctor that they're waiting for, which meant you knew that you were coming here. All you did was come in and check his pulse, and then be like, "Well, I'm going to get out of here." She leaves. The doctor turns to the wife and the guy's best friend and says, "Don't stay too long."
End of scene.
That's it. And then you do see that the girl went back to check on him in the morning, and she's got the bracelet, so you know this is the grown-up version of Leia.
Yep.
The issue is they make it seem like she's the person who hit him with the car.
She certainly seems guilty for something, doesn't she?
So... yeah, because they don't show the lady, but they give the indication that it looks like it's her, because you see the bracelet on her wrist when he's given the magic rock.
Oh, really? I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so that's why I was confused.
This movie is way more complicated than I thought it was.
that's why I was confused that she's checking on him, because I'm like, okay, that really doesn't make sense. And then the movie decides to get more abstract and has the what's it called? Has the disappearing feet.
Yeah, I guess one thing we should say is that Neil Breen really loves shooting feet a lot. So there's just randomly shots of feet sometimes when I guess they didn't want to pay an actor, so feet are cheaper. But yeah, there's just these black dress shoes that appear and then disappear.
Yeah. And he gets better in the bed after she checks him. Like, we don't know if it's the rock or not.
It cuts to the rock in his hand and him, like, gripping tightly on it many times. So I think we're supposed to think that this is a magical power that the rock is granting him. Not the power
there's no
to...
indication.
No, not the power to get hit by a car and survive, but the power to get hit by a car, get really, really wounded, and just heal a little faster.
So he gets up very slowly and goes home, where he's bleeding profusely in the shower with his wife. Like, there's
that's
so
the
much
most
blood.
awkward fucking scene. I can't.
He should be dead.
She
gets up in the middle of the night because she hears the shower going, and first it's like, hello, is somebody there? And then it's like, oh, I didn't know you were getting out. It's like, yeah, no shit. But why aren't you questioning the fact that all this blood is gushing from his body?
Yeah. And then she just goes into the shower with him, and they just kind of hold each other as blood continues to pour from the wound on his head.
Oh, so good. So good. They also have the comment with the doctor who says that they're going to, check on him, and clearly he's not there. But the person who's saying that they're going to check on them is the person who was there earlier in the evening.
Yeah. Well, the weird thing about that conversation is Leah shows up, notices he's not there, calls their doctor, and says, "Did you release him?" He's like, "No, he should be right there. I'll go check on him." I was like, "No, he's not there."
You're standing right there. There's nowhere else for you to check on him. You're in his room by his bed that he obviously isn't. Where else are you going to check on him? Then we get my favorite shot towards the beginning of the movie to let you know that in the 8 years that pass, 2005 being when Double Down was, and then 2013 being when Fateful Findings is, that when we see his workspace, he has 4 turned off laptops.
Still got those laptops, but he also has what is clearly 20 copies of the same book.
Yes.
And he's always reading. So I think we learned specifically later that this is his book, because not only is he a computer scientist that's one of the best hackers ever, but he's also an author with a successfully published book, and supposed to be working on a second novel, but he's just constantly reading his first novel.
Yes. But what he actually says is, I have a master's degree in computer science. I became a writer, but that's all coming to an end.
Because why, Adrian? What's he doing now?
Because he's hacked into the most secretest locations of governments and corporate buildings, have international. Let me find like the actual quote, because like when he says it, it's because he always makes sure to say the same thing each time, and it's crazy. It's crazy just hearing him say it, because he's trying to, I don't know if like the way he's saying, he's trying to rationalize it and be like, hey, it's okay that I'm not working on this book at all. Because he tells a couple different people the exact same thing. He says, I haven't been truthful. I've been hacking into government and corporate international secrets all over the world.
Really? International secrets all over the world?
That's what he makes sure to say. He always makes sure to put international after a random word in there. It's I don't know how to explain it. It's beautiful, and how ridiculous it is.
But
he's not even the main part of the story, because we're constantly intercutting into the life of his best friend, who is also an alcoholic.
Yeah. This is the weird thing. Like, there's so many different things going on here. There's that, and we cut to these people, and they're just like miserable, and they hate each other, and
they're the worst family.
There's so many. Like, the first scene of them together is, "We haven't had sex in a while. You know that? Yeah, I've just been super busy at work, and my back hurts." And it's just like, okay,
see, but you don't know they're together at first, because he's just sitting there in a chair, staring at her, and has a glass in one hand and then a bottle of like gin or vodka in the other one, and is offering her a drink.
What happened? Where am I? And who are you?
We're in Las Vegas. Hey, last night we went to the club, danced a lot, drank a lot, laughed a lot.
So here's the thing. We were recording these, this episode, this giant 2-part behemoth, or Breen-A-Thon. I don't.
That's not a good joke.
No, that's not. That's terrible. Anyways, we were in the process of recording, and then all of a sudden, Scott had a snafu, tried to fix the snafu, which created a bigger snafu, and we are now recording this a week later. So we are going to be trying to talk about the rest of Fateful Findings based upon the ridiculous notes that we have. So it will kind of be like drunkenly trying to explain a hazy dream that we had a week in the past that we can't fully grasp or remember.
But you know what, Adrian? I think for this movie, that is the optimal way to talk about it. So I think
we could actually make the movie sound better?
I don't know if that's possible.
I know. I'm looking at the notes for the point that we're trying to jump back to, and the first thing I see is, what's the point of the pills scene?
Yeah, well, that's because he was addicted to pills, and then he said, "I'm done with the pills." And then 5 minutes after that, he said, "Where are my pills?" Even though he had just poured them down the toilet. Even though his wife immediately, well, no, yeah, but he was on the pain pills because he was recovering from his terrible accident and decided randomly he was done with the pills, so he poured them down the toilet. Yeah. But she's addicted to pills, so she scooped them out of the bottom of the toilet.
And she'd been switching his pills too.
I didn't know she was switching. I just thought she was just like taking some off the top.
Yeah, she had one point where I think she switched it like with something generic so that she could keep the hard stuff. But I didn't think that he was addicted to it. I thought because he seems legitimately okay. Because that's what I thought you just said, and that's why I was confused. I was like, I do remember him complaining about being in pain, but maybe that's just the way he's masking the addiction. And because Neil Breen can't act, you can't differentiate between what's supposed to be his character lying and what he's just saying.
No, but he did definitely
said that he's done
toss out the pills, and then 5 minutes after that, ask his wife where his pills were. I guess he changed his mind.
Well, the difference is that he's then talking to a person. When he says he's done with the pills, he's staring in the mirror.
Well, yeah, you gotta... When you can't emote, you have to just use dialogue to explain to the audience what's going on.
But in a sense, he's explaining it to himself. This is my character motivation. I'm done with the pills.
I'm moving on from the pills.
So said the scary, like, semi-drunk-looking bastard child of Richard Gere and Leonard Nimoy.
Oh my god. Now I can't unsee that forever. Thank you.
That's it. That's what he is. He looks like an older, very confused Richard Gere. If you left Richard Gere out in the sun for several days and put a whole bunch of Just for Men in his hair, that's Neil Breen.
You got it. You absolutely got it. And now the younger women thing makes a lot more sense too.
Exactly. You got that gear gene in you.
So where were we? Okay. So What's happening in this movie?
It says pill scenes, and then it says it mentions the toilet scooping. And but the great thing that it mentions is that when he dumps the pills into the toilet, he then just throws the pill bottle next to the toilet, not in a trash can, just off to the side of the toilet.
Yeah, that's how little respect he has for his wife. Like, fuck you, you clean these up. You know, the thing about pills is when they touch liquid, their capsule breaks and they release their stuff. That's kind of how pills work. So scooping them out of the toilet, probably not the best idea.
Are you saying that Neil Breen is a liar?
Yeah, I'm saying that this movie, Adrian, doesn't follow rational logic, and therefore is hard to believe.
It's perfect because that's directly what the next scene is, which is the really, really cheap. And when I say cheap, the walls of the scene are lined with garbage bags. The shitty David Lynch-esque naked Neil Breen dream sequence.
Oh my god, yeah.
Which
I totally forgot this happened.
But this is the first time you see it because he's just sitting there at first, like cross-legged, naked with his back to everybody. But all I could notice is that he literally basically took hefty bags and like taped them to the wall, which I guess is like someone's garage somewhere. And then it cuts to the shot with the pedestal that's got the box that's on it while he's still naked. But you don't understand any of it, nor do you get like a full explanation of why it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I had to peer into Neil Breen's brain, which is a terrifying, awful place, I would guess that this is supposed to be the magic of The Rock doing something to him or something.
I guess.
He's got that magical rock,
know,
and it saved his life.
Well, all that we know is that his wife is like really closely watching him sleep. Like, yeah,
because
I don't know what boundaries people have like when they're sleeping, and I understand like the concept of cuddling, but I also understand like personal space, and that maybe it's not a good idea to be like having your nose essentially touch someone else's nose while they're sleeping and you're staring at them.
Well, it's probably the pills. She's addicted to maybe she's hoping that he'll like throw up in his sleep and then she can get some pill goodness.
like a baby bird?
Exactly. Look, Adrian, I would not put anything past this movie.
No, because it's a movie that has is it a psychiatrist or a psychologist? Because he goes to either a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and then there's a psychoanalyst. I know the second lady is a psychoanalyst, but the first one, I believe, is just a straight.
I think you're right, but it's the weirdest scene in the world.
He's in a boardroom.
It's a full length, like 20-person table boardroom, and they're sitting at opposite ends of it.
Like fucking Batman.
And all the psychologist is doing is, when you were having trouble with your book, I helped you. And then that's scene over.
Yeah, I was confused at first because I'm like, okay, why is he having a meeting with his publisher at a psychologist's office?
Nope. Just meeting with the psychologist who was instrumental in helping him with his first book. And it's not clear, like, I guess the story is supposed to be that he's writing his second novel, but in actuality, in secret, he hasn't told anyone, except he tells everyone that he knows that he's actually hacking into the government. Yeah.
But that's how he starts. I like how he starts telling everybody, I'm not actually working on my second novel. So you don't, for what your next statement is, which is, I've actually been hacking into all the secret governments of the world, you don't have to preface it with, I'm not actually writing my second novel. It's not like being like, I didn't go to McDonald's earlier today.
And here's
I was actually hacking into all the secret government. No, it doesn't fucking matter.
Well, yeah, it assumes that like the act of writing a book and the act of hacking into government and corporations is a similar thing, as if like the whole time he was at his computer and just, is him writing his novel, but it's actually just just him hacking, because that's how you hack, right?
Hey, Scott, I just wanted to let you know, I actually wasn't listening to you just then. I was hacking into the secret government organizations.
Was it you that hacked HBO?
Yes.
Was that you?
All their secrets, I have them now. They don't even know. I like how that's how he prefaces it. He mentions everybody. I've got all the information. They don't even know. They have no idea. It's like, well, guess what? If one of the people who works from those companies happens to be within earshot of you in the next 5 days, or is at an outing with you in the next 5 days, there's a good chance that they're going to learn because you're telling everybody.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't tell their friend's daughter who has the weird hots for him.
We'll get into that in a second. But I think we should have a special little PSA. If you're working into the late hours of the evening and you find yourself getting tired, I would definitely suggest that you drink something to pick up your spirits, like coffee, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
What I would not suggest is then taking the coffee back to your computer, possibly falling asleep onto the table, and in your state of confusion, barely lifting your head off the desk and trying to bring the cup to your face. Because and there's a strong likelihood that you're going to spill it all over the place and then pass out.
All over your laptop, because he puts the coffee on top of his laptop, which is just asking for trouble.
He sets the cup there and then tries to, he doesn't even try to bring it close to his lips. That's at least a foot away from his face when he's trying to take the sip of it.
Sometimes you just get really tired, and you're so tired you can't even lift your head to drink coffee.
Maybe he needs to do better time management skills between not writing his novel and hacking into all the secret government organizations. Maybe.
It's probably true. And not having sex with his wife. Have we gotten to their awkward sex scene yet? I don't remember. I don't remember if we talked about this already.
I don't think we've talked about it because I don't want to think about it.
It's the weirdest fucking thing in the world, because they yell at each other and hate each other, and then a scene goes by and he grabs her and they just start ripping off each other's clothing
while laughing
in the most awkward way I've ever seen.
Oh, it makes you long for a Tommy Wiseau sex scene.
Oh God, and then he just keeps tossing papers into the air. There's so many papers on his desk, and he just keeps throwing them in the air.
But it's hard to try to figure. Usually, when you have that moment in a film, you're able to look at it and say, "Okay, this is a joke." He's continually throwing the papers. He's in on the joke. He's having fun with it. He's laughing at the absurdity of everything. He's still not a good filmmaker, so he can't play it up. But then you start to look at it and you tilt your head and you're like, no, maybe he feels this is organic to the scene. Maybe this isn't actually a comedy. But that's the weird thing about it is, I was so fucking confused watching that with my brain trying to process, is this a joke? Is this a joke within the movie? Is this a joke to him? Oh shit, maybe it's not. I don't know how to process it.
It's I am almost this man seems like he's never had sex in his entire life, because the whole idea of tearing your clothes off and going at it is you get caught up in the passion and you just have to go now, and you tear each other's clothes off and you just go. But the tearing of the clothes takes 2.5 minutes. They could have just calmly removed their clothing and then still had time to throw around some papers and then gone at it.
This is like a 6 or 7 year old wrote a sex scene.
Yeah.
It's their idea of, it's funny because they're ripping the shirts, but then, they ripped each other's shirts, so they have to rip it a little bit more, but they think it's really funny because they're ripping each other's shirt. And wouldn't it be great if they threw paper in the air? Because they're they're going to do it. So they're they're crazy.
And then he touched her boobie. But that doesn't actually happen.
But you didn't see it. Because he's still even getting to the sex scene, he's still chaste in like the way he's doing it, because her shirt does end up going off, and he's still like, I'm not going to show you nudity. You want to see my ass? We're going to get to my ass.
Yeah. We'll show my ass all day long, but I refuse to show anyone else.
You want to see 3/4 of me naked in a shower? Done. We got it. You want to see the woman naked in the shower? Can't do it. She's going to be clothed and standing there. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
but
it's the way that
yeah, it's the presentation of it, because like, if he was an artist, like an actual genuine artist, even if he was a terrible artist, he could be having that juxtaposition, being like, oh, this is my movie. I'm going to continually focus on my body to make you feel uncomfortable because you desire to see the other person naked. And here it's just, I don't understand what he's doing. That he's like, in a way, it almost feels like he's protecting them to a degree.
Yeah, but it's so strange.
Yeah, he's sensationalizing the moment of the person being naked.
Right.
But then he's like, he's working around it because he feels like that's wrong. Yeah. Almost to like a religious degree.
Yeah, because like there's a later scene between their friend couple who's fighting where they're both laying in bed and he's trying to get her to have sex and they're both topless and she's just laying on her boobs and like you see massive side boob, but that's it. But like if you're obsessively trying to protect the women from nudity, why not just put her in a shirt in that scene? So it's like, it's confusing. It doesn't make sense. Like he's pushing the nudity, but not like, but to a certain extent, he wants to exploit these women. He wants to use their beauty and their nakedness, but only to a certain point. And then he says, no.
But that's almost fascinating in a way. The fact that he's putting that forethought and that care into constructing it, saying, I want to have the illusion here, but at the same time, I want to protect your decency.
Yeah. It is very fascinating. He's a very interesting man.
That's the amazing thing about both these movies that I think we can say is there's lots of times that when you go down this avenue that you're watching certain movies that everybody's like, oh my God, this movie's so terrible. You have to watch it. Is lots of times they're just bad, and you're able to laugh at the ineptitude that's in it. But by watching these two movies, I'm curious to try to find a way to watch the other ones to see if it hits upon the same points. Because if it hits upon the same points continually, then we're basically getting a sense of him as a person.
Yeah.
And that brings up like all these crazy questions, but you don't find yourself doing that with like other bad movies. Everybody knows that Troll 2 is mostly it's the more popular choice when it comes to the worst movies ever. But until they decided several years back to do the documentary on it, there was never a point where somebody's like, I want to know exactly about this actor and his entire life. And you almost find yourself wondering about that when it comes to Neil Breen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, freaking Senorita Justice or Loose Cannons, like, fuck those movies. But, like, these feel personal. Like, if you're going to talk about auteur theory, like, these are great examples of them because it's one guy, like, doing his thing and it's to his image and it's a window into who he is as a person.
Yeah. There's only two cars in the entire movie. One of them is a Rolls Royce, and the other one is a Ferrari.
Yeah, I mean, are these his cars? Probably not. He probably like rented them because like, he wants to create a world in which he is this superpowered, good at everything, has all these women throwing themselves at him, has the best cars, all the money, and he's taking down the evil thing. Like, he has this image of himself, and he's creating these films to push this image of himself.
Yeah. And he's a tragic figure too, because we have I think we're at the dinner scene. Half these aren't going to seem connected just because that's how the movie feels. It feels very unconnected.
Yeah, I mean that's the irony of having to come back a week later and do this. That like I remember the scenes. I don't remember the order they came in.
Yeah. That's why you got to try to figure out what the notes. But they have the dinner where his two friends who are constantly arguing about not having sex with each other, and then he and his wife and the guy's stepdaughter are there, and you've got the great, super awkward, badly shot exchange between the two women where the wife says, "I want you to try this wine." And then the friend said, "I would love to try your wine." And so, but she extends her hand, and then it cuts to the shot of the other lady handing her the glass of wine. And then it cuts to the shot of the other woman grabbing the glass of wine. So you know they weren't together when they shot it.
Yeah.
Even though every other shot in there, they had shot. So that's what they chose to do the pickup shot was.
Yeah. So
was of them handing a glass of wine to each other.
It's like, so we looked back at the movie and it's missing one scene. We need to do some pickups of you guys getting wine glasses. Everything else is perfect.
Everyone's just talking basically about their problems, and how good everyone looks. And somebody compliments, I can't remember Neil Breen's character in this one. Is this?
It's Neil Breen. Let's be honest here.
He's
just playing Neil Breen.
So Neil Breen, they compliment him on like the amount of time that it took him to recover. They're really impressed, and his response is, "I've had great family genes, but I'm still in pain."
Is it the genes or is it your magical forest rock?
Yeah. And the bald guy has been drinking a bit, and starts laughing like uncontrollably, mentioning that he just wants a little bit more wine. And they're playing up the fact that he's an alcoholic because you imagine that it's going to be it's going to have a payoff.
Don't you think it has a payoff? A wonderful.
No, like the majority of it doesn't have a payoff because this at the table they end up talking about the stepdaughter having a really interesting project that she's working on for school, but it ends up pertaining to being about elephants in Africa.
That's pretty interesting.
No, it's not.
Can she elaborate on the elephants in Africa?
No, she doesn't. We never find out what's so interesting about a project pertaining to the elephants in Africa. My guess is she's a poacher.
Yeah, that's probably it. She's heading to Africa this summer to kill an elephant.
Her two defining traits are trying to seduce Neil Breen in his pool or shower and going off to Africa to hunt elephants.
There you go.
We cracked the movie. But first we have to get to the hacking. Oh. But yeah, because he then does his hacking that you illustrated so perfectly by the horrible slow
hacks.
But on 4 computers. Don't forget, you have to hack on 4 computers.
And he's like he's awful at fake typing too. Like he can't even do that right.
Hey, I mean, don't. Scott, just because somebody gets 5 words per minute on touch typing for beginners, it's no reason to make fun of them. Okay.
Am I being too mean to Mr. Breen again? I'm sorry.
Yes. Don't bring up his typing. He's very sensitive about his typing.
Well, it obviously frustrates him very much because it's like his life mission to destroy as many laptops as possible.
So in the middle of his hacking, we jump to the scene that we were just talking about where there's the other couple and you get the gratuitous side boob shot, and they get into an argument and the guy is drinking again. And my note says that he has all the charisma of a low rent wrestler.
That's fair. And he's not a giant man, so
no, he's not. But he's like it's that type of acting. They picked up somebody who had never acted before, and they said, "We need you to show emotion," and the person completely blanked because it turned out that they were actually a snail pretending to be a human for years.
I mean, this was definitely one of those we can't afford to pay you acting gigs.
But it's so awkward because so Breen's doing all his hacking and everything, and they've got the pill storyline with his wife, but they're actually spending more time having this guy and his wife talk, even though they're not essential to the story in any way.
They're completely tangential to it. Like it doesn't matter at all.
But we spend almost a third of the movie with them.
Yeah, and their story just ends.
Yeah.
And then nothing happens.
Yeah.
I mean, something big happens to end their story, but there's no consequence of it and no relation to the overall plot. I mean, let's be honest, there is no overall plot. There's three things going on. There's one relationship with Neil Breen, there's one relationship with this couple, and then there's this stupid hacking subplot, which is apparently the climax of the film, even though it really isn't.
The movie has so many scenes that exist to just further continue reminding you that he's hacking, because they've got the really awkward scene where he's having the argument with his wife when he has the laptop like on his lap the whole time, and he even stops. He's typing and then stops in the middle of it because his wife's on the phone talking to the psychologist, it turns out. And she's mentioning, just the problems he's having. And then she gets off the phone and she's upset. And he makes the comment to her that your pill taking for pain has gotten out of control. I told you this would come between us. And then back to clack, 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 clack. And then he looks up in the middle of it while she's still over there upset and says, I have to get this work done.
So go away.
Clack, 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 and then stops in the middle of it and says, I have hacked all the information. I need to. And then he stops because the wife ends up, coming to talk to him. And they have the great part where one of them he says, the bank is failing, and she says the pills help. Like that's her response.
Yeah, because I guess her whole thing is that her job is going terrible, so she's stressed at work, so she gets addicted to the pills. I guess.
I guess. And then she gets upset, and he says, "What? I've been so supportive of you, so supportive." Oh man, and then she's sitting like directly in front of him after they have like another little part of the fight, and he says, "Don't turn away. Let's talk." Even though they're already facing face to face, they're within eye shot. Their eyes have connected. He's not looking into her eyes necessarily when he's talking, but he says, "Don't turn away. Let's talk." And that's when we get to the tossing paper scene that you were talking about.
Oh, that's where the sex scene comes in. See, I gotcha. Well, then they've made up, apparently.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Because then they make up, and then he's walking down the hallway of the building that he goes to for the psychologist, but this time they show that there's a sign on the door that says it's psychoanalyst, and all they could afford for this room was a closet and two folding chairs.
And they're just sitting. It's like the exact opposite of the psychologist. Yeah. Instead of being on a super long table, they're just right next to each other on two folding chairs. Oh, it's so great.
This is when something magical dawned on me. Between Double Down and this movie, he probably got lots of feedback on Double Down. And so he probably decided, okay, I've got a story that I want to make, but I want to find a way that I can stay away from the things that people didn't like about the first film. So I'm not going to spend the time out in the desert. I'm going to have it more be indoors in actual locations, even if it's just houses and stuff. I need to change up the story elements. yada, yada, yada. Somewhere in there, he ended up seeing a David Lynch film and said, oh, okay, I can put this stuff together to have it be more abstract, and that's what the people are going to fall in love with. Because when I saw him have like the closed quarter room with the psychoanalyst and put that with the psychologist having the giant boardroom and then the really crappy dream sequence, that's what I thought. He's trying to ape elements that you might see in like a David Lynch-esque film.
I could see that.
But not
without any of the talent.
Exactly. Not understanding, why that's happening. Just having it be there for the sake of being there so that people might draw meaning from it. And that's you see lots of people when they're trying to ape an aesthetic understand these are the images and the visual clues that you give to people. They just don't know necessarily that you have to be able to back that up with something.
Yeah. It's not good, and it serves no purpose. Like I'm going to be honest with you, I don't even remember what he talked to the psychoanalyst about.
Well, they're still talking about his book and the fact that he has all this government information, because I even had the note that was like what we were basically just talking about, where my note actually says if it's as if someone who's a huge conspiracy theory nut got drunk, watched a David Lynch film, and then wanted to make a comedy based on what they were viewing to help push their agenda.
Okay, I don't understand why a psychoanalyst is the one he's having this conversation with. Why is he telling everyone about this stuff?
I don't know. I don't know like how he views psychoanalysts, because like this is a lady who later in the movie basically phases out of existence, if I remember correctly, while she's sitting in the chair.
Yeah, that is accurate.
Yeah, they have a shot of her in the room after he leaves, and she disappears from the chair.
Maybe she was the physical embodiment of the magic stone.
Or maybe he's just a crazy person and literally went into a closet that had two folding chairs that were sitting against the wall, unfolded them, and then had a conversation with somebody who wasn't actually there.
That's
so that he could work through.
More accurate.
Yeah. It doesn't. But her character doesn't say a lot, and her character is there to kind of support his views, which is different from the other women who are in the movie. And you can tell that this movie is made by a very confused man, because he presents almost all the women in the film terribly. There's his wife who's addicted to the pills. There's the lady who's married to the other guy who's upset with him and then complaining about them not having sex, who they paint in like a bad light, but they never explain why they're painting her in that light. There's his childhood friend that he was in love with when they were 8 years old, who she has a fiance, but is totally all about Neil Breen when she sees him.
Everybody's all about Neil Breen. Everybody.
So
even the men are kind of all about Neil Breen.
They all want to be his friend or spend like a lot of time with him. We get another scene with that couple who are arguing about the fact that one of them's not letting the other one have sex with them, and the other one's complaining about the other one drinking a lot. And in the end, the scene just ends. And then we've got another scene that takes place at night where Breen and his wife are asleep, and you have shots of feet in like nice penny loafers that are appearing.
Yeah.
Because
what the fuck is that?
They appear, they're walking down the hallway, you never see the body that's attached to them, and then it disappears again. Like, they pull up at one point so you could see legs are attached to the feet, because, that's how the human body works, and then it just disappears.
And it's
Was
not
it maybe the psychoanalyst?
It's not the first time we've seen them either, because that happens when he's dressing at the hospital. Those feet appear and then disappear. And I have no idea. I don't think we ever learn what's going on there.
No, because there's another part where they appear and then disappear, and then a ghost-like force opens the door to the house.
Yeah, that's a thing that happens.
No. And then we get to the great reveal where Neil Breen explains what he's been doing, even though he's been telling everybody for the entire movie, where he says, I haven't been truthful. I've been hacking into government and corporate international secrets all over the world. Let's take a moment and let's break down that sentence.
Okay.
He mentions that he's hacked into government and corporate. Those words make sense going together. International secrets.
Yeah, I just assume there's some commas in there that he didn't say.
No, he says it all at once. Government and corporate international secrets all over the world. First of all, international usually covers all over the world.
Yeah, you don't normally have to say both those things at the same time.
Yeah. Government and corporate, that makes sense. You know, having that difference between the two. That's okay. International secrets. Now, if you're saying I hacked into government and corporate agencies all over the world, I can understand that, because I understand what you're doing when I'm visualizing in my mind that you are hacking into databases. But if you say that you're hacking into secrets, that's when I get a little bit confused. I understand your intention, but at the same time, I'm having to take a moment and think to myself, why did you choose those words?
I'm sorry, I just hacked your secrets. So.
Oh, okay. Well, you hacked into my secrets.
Yeah.
Did you hack into all my secrets all over the world?
Just the international ones.
Oh, okay, that's good. I'm glad we know. One of my favorite scenes is next, because I felt like I was losing my mind. I mean, you feel like that for the majority of the film, but the decision that they made at the pool party scene was, it's insane. It's simply insane. He is throwing a party where you see 4 people on screen, later ends up jumping out to about, 6 or 8 people. But he has people standing on one side of the pool. He has pumped in a very shitty mix, the sound of several people laughing and continually clinking glasses to give the impression that there's like 30 to 40 people at the party.
This party is bumping.
But when he decides to call everybody together and make an announcement, you see that there's only 6 people that are there, but still has the sound pumped in underneath it. So it's just like, we're having a group meeting, but you other people, you're cool to stay over there. That's totally fine.
Continue to stay over there, away from where the camera can see you, please.
Yes. Who invited the doctor?
I don't know.
Because she just shows up with her fiance, and the wife is surprised that she's shown up, and even says, "Oh, hey, the doctor from the hospital."
Neil Breen is surprised to see her because
the wife is magically ADR'd because she says for a second time that it's the doctor. Yep. It's just like any of the conversations that are having with these people don't make sense. The friend who's an alcoholic is there. I think we already mentioned that. If we did, I'm sorry. We probably talked about the shot that was just from the waist down being awkward. The whole scene is just weird. Just weird. Well, because in the middle of it, you've got Neil Breen and the doctor. They're holding hands. Like they talk for 2 seconds, and he's like, "Oh my God, is that really you?" oh my God, I can't believe it. Because he sees the bracelet that's on her wrist, and that's how he knows that it's a girl that he was in love with since he was 8 years old. And she remembers him instantly, even though it's probably been like 30 years since they've seen each other. And they instantly are in love with each other and want to bang. But there's other people around. So they decide to play it cool by casually holding hands while everybody encircles them.
Yeah, including his wife, her fiance. It is so obvious, it's hilarious, and yet it's never addressed.
Yes. And again, their names don't matter, but the doctor's fiance ends up raising the glass and saying, "Here's to old friends and new friends and finding ourselves."
It's a great toast. I'm going to use it from now on.
For a second, I was worried that things were going to turn into like a key party, and that probably wouldn't be good having the stepdaughter there.
What are you talking about? The stepdaughter wants to bang more than anyone else.
The stepdaughter or the guy's stepdaughter who comes over and is just outside in the backyard, and Neil Breen just goes and grabs her and says, "You can't do this anymore."
Yeah.
Which says that it's happening often.
Yeah. And once again, she's topless. She is wearing a bathing suit. She takes off the top and then faces away from the camera the whole time, even though also the camera's where Neil Breen is, so she's facing away from him too, which doesn't make any sense. But
that's how she's drawing him out. She's trying to be alluring, being like, "Hey, if you want to see my tits, you got to come outside."
Yeah. Yeah. And then he tells her she can't do it.
Yes.
And then sends her away, and then
sends her away, and then chastises his wife. And another brilliant piece of dialogue where he just lays into her and says, "It's your fault. You invited her. Come over and use our swimming pool whenever you want. Remember?"
No wonder this woman's addicted to pills.
If you lived with him, you would be too. But hey, he's got a Rolls Royce, so what are you going to do? The other people, couple two, end up having a rather, what we call it, awkward or weird end to their story.
Unexpected and unnecessary.
Yeah. So the guy, I'm kind of remembering that maybe his name is Jim, because that seems like the most bland thing that Neil would choose.
You are correct. It is Jim.
Awesome. Perfect. So Jim is drunk and still working on his car, because that's one of the two things you know about him, or three things. He's mad at his wife for not having sex with him. He's an alcoholic, and he works on his car in the garage all the time. They get into yet another fight while he's drunk, and the wife goes and grabs a gun and comes back to threaten him while he's drunk laying against the car.
Yeah, she says she's going to shoot holes in the car because he loves the car more than her.
Yes.
Which, that's a bad plan.
Yes. Do you know what else is a bad plan? Planning to shoot the car and then shooting your husband.
So he's dead.
Totally dead. Blood all over the place. And she runs out of there because, that's what are you going to do? Are you just going to stand around?
No.
This movie clearly is about the dangers of addiction. And
we got pills. We got alcohol. Women, maybe.
Yep. Lady blue balls. That's what it's all about.
The dangers of being in love with someone you met for like 2 months when you were 8 years old and had never seen since then.
So Jim is just bleeding on the ground. And do you remember why? Oh, Neil comes over because he gets a call from the stepdaughter, right? Or does he get a call from the wife?
And he gets a call from the wife who's trying to call his wife.
Yes.
But
he answers.
Yeah, he answers.
Yeah. So he goes over and and sees Jim and decides that, oh, here's my friend who's bleeding and dead on the floor. I should definitely go prop him up on my lap to make sure that he's okay. And this is the scene that's going to stick with me. Like, from everything else in Fateful Findings will kind of fade away. But the scene of Neil Breen clutching Jim while he's still, like, squirting blood is ingrained in my brain. It's never... I will be on my deathbed, and I will think of this scene.
I'm so sorry.
With where Neil Breen's just holding on to his friend, and he says, I can't believe you. I can't believe you committed suicide. I can't help you out of this one, Jim. Well, yeah, he's fucking dead, so you can't help him out of it. You can't bring him back to life. And he goes, How could you? How could you, Jim? How could you have committed suicide? And so then he goes back home, and one of the first things he does is go back to his computer and get ready to hack. Before he does that, he has to speak out loud to no one who's there and just say, I'm so drained. I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted.
Poor guy. He's
all those things, which are the same thing.
Yeah.
But he said it 3 times, so it's very heavy.
Again, when you can't emote, you got to use the dialogue.
Yeah. But emoting doesn't really work and isn't his strong suit, because he has the argument with his wife where she says, you can't blame yourself for Jim's suicide. It's not your fault. And then she blames herself for being the cause of Jim's suicide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if she hadn't been telling Jim's wife that she needed to stand up for herself, or if she didn't make the big show of Jim being drunk and trying to hit on her at the pool party, that this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, how dare you defend yourself when a drunk man tries to hit on you at a pool party? You did this. You made him commit suicide.
Yeah. And this is another one of those, like, conversations where they're standing, like, almost nose to nose. And I don't know if they're trying to make it feel, like, seductive or erotic in any ways, because it just comes across as, like, almost disgusting. There's plenty of people that I love and care about in this world that I don't want to have a conversation where, like, every single word that I say is just hot breath on their face.
Yeah. Yeah, they're close talkers. It's the old Seinfeld thing.
They're all close talkers, and it's just disgusting. Anytime they have the shot of that, I'm just like, no, you're terrible people. And you're a terrible director for saying, this is how we're going to stage this scene.
Look, he's learning. He hasn't done a lot of features. He's in real estate. He's learning.
Yes. We also learned that the paper throwing thing from earlier might just be part of, a tick that he has, because he's got the books that he's basically, like, throwing his wife's away, but it's more like he shoves the books in her direction. I don't know if he's trying to terrify her or what.
I think that's pretty safe to say.
Yeah. It's another one of those moments where you're trying to figure out how much of this is a joke and how much is this serious. You're only like 5 to 10 minutes away from the guy getting shot by his wife, who then makes it look like it's a suicide by wiping down his hands and the gun. And then you've got a scene where he's trying to knock stuff onto his wife, and you can't tell what's being serious and what's not.
Yeah, it's just flipping between these completely different storylines and tones, and
yeah,
it's just meandering along. It doesn't know what to do.
It's yep. The wife is still continually having those conversations with the psychiatrist, but she seems like vaguely drunk every time she's doing it. I don't know if that was their way to be like, oh, she's still on the pills, remember?
Yeah, I think so. It's tough to tell because, like, she's apparently using the psychiatrist to get the pills.
Yes.
And like he knows that they're going to her, so he's like supplying her. He's her dealer. But
she's
like
calling him at weird hours.
Yeah.
She's calling him at like 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It's Yep. Oh. And then we keep getting Neil Breen having conversations with this guy. And there's never a point where the guy's like, listen, you need to get stuff taken care of with your wife because she's going through some shit. And like she's calling him asking for drugs, so it's not like, doctor-patient confidentiality. So I'm pretty sure that when he's talking about the problems that he has and everything, the doctor can be like, listen, we've got a bigger issue. We're going to talk about it because it's something that you need to address. And then we'll come up with ideas of what you can do. And then at the next meeting, we'll talk about how it goes. Because that's a big problem. Not just that his wife's addicted to it, but then how that's affecting like him and his life. And it doesn't seem like that's a topic of conversation that comes up between them ever at all.
No, I don't think he gives a shit about her at all, ever.
Yep. But then part of that's because of what we were mentioning with like I guess the performances of it, that it's going to be low grade, but you're trying to discern like what direction they're being given of any, and it's like how much of elements are being shot like as reshoots or months later, or different people are getting parts of the script, because like the magic stone that we've mentioned a couple times shows up and disappears just willy-nilly.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the movie's called Fateful Findings.
Yes.
So the first thing that happens in the movie is they find the stone. So you would think that the stone is the anchor of the entire story.
Yeah.
It's not, but
no, because they put it back together.
Yeah.
Like they go back into the forest and they decide that they're going to put the magical rock and the little trinkets that she got back into the rock and bury it, and then a mushroom grows over it again.
Yeah.
But then there's still like a good portion of the movie left.
Yeah. Well, then they have sex in the forest next to their magical tree.
Yes. It's a magical day.
While his wife is dying.
No. But they say before it cuts to the wife dying is, it's a magical day, it's a magical time, a place where dreams come true. You're in a forest and you're fucking. That's all it is. It's nothing more than that.
I believe that's Neil Breen's dream, is to be in forest with a woman half his age banging. So, dream come true.
Fucking her while his wife is overdosing?
Yeah, that's dream come true. Solves 2 birds. Gets with the new girl, doesn't have to worry about the old girl. Boom.
Brilliant piece of editing, by the way, when they show her, because as she's dying, she knocks over the water onto the bed. And then when he comes, then the next shot, when she like actually dies, the glass is in a completely different position and she falls over to die again. So effectively they show her dying twice.
So yes. But we had to spill that water. It was a great shot. We zoom in on the water. It's great. But she's dead. Yay.
Yeah, totally dead.
But does he feel guilty about it at all? That he was like off with another woman while his wife died? No, it's almost as if she moves in immediately and just replaces the role of his wife, because he just goes back to work on hacking, and now it's this woman that comes into his room and checks on him instead of his wife.
Yeah, because I even have a note that says, Emily, I just cheated on you and I'm worried about you, but I'm not calling 911.
I forgot about that.
Because it's just, yeah. I don't. There's more dream stuff too. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a manifestation of his fear or his guilt.
It just doesn't matter. Like, at this point in the movie, like, it's basically done. Like, nothing else much happens. He just continues to hang out with the new woman.
And the salad. The salad.
Yes, we're finally here. We're finally at the salad.
Oh, the fucking baby goddamn spinach scene where she's just sitting there watching him typing. And he tells her that it's not a book, it's a research that he's doing. Hasn't clued her in on the government secrets yet.
Not yet.
But they're sitting there, and he's got a plate that's just got baby spinach on it, no dressing or anything. And he just looks at her, stops talking, digs his fork into it, takes a bite of it, and looks at her, just smiling like, ha ha ha, look at what I'm doing. And she looks at him just like, oh, you're so funny. He then goes and takes the plate and puts it on the stack of papers that are barely standing. Like, they can't bear the weight of the plate. And then it just falls over.
It's random. It's so stupid.
Oh, man. It's just, there's no way to describe it. Like, I know the clip is online, and so people can see it. I'll tweet it out tomorrow. I won't even give an explanation of it. I'll just tweet it out there because it's the fucking baby spinach scene. Oh my God. So you have that. The girl's name is Leah, because I have the quote from the next scene. Because even though they're staying in the same place, she's still going back to her house for stuff. I don't know if it's for clothing or to shower or what. But the next day, Neil Breen goes to visit her at her place, and he sees something on the ground because she's been kidnapped by a random guy. But he decides to call her and leave a message on her voicemail is basically what you're believing it to be, but he's leaving it as if it's an answering machine. And he's wandering around just going, Leah, pick up. I was just at the house and you're not there. And you see him go and walk into the house, sees that nobody's inside, comes outside, and continues to talk on the answering machine, asking her to pick up. And I'm just like, you just walked inside the place that you were calling, and you're still telling her, did you think that she was like in the bathroom and she didn't hear you? And now that she's flushed and come out, she's heard and she's going to run too. It goes on for like
so much.
3 or 4 minutes.
Why is your purse outside? I don't understand.
Oh, God. It's just, why was she kidnapped even? Was it because of the...
I'm guessing they were trying to stop him from, releasing...
I don't even remember.
I think these were the people that were trying to stop him from releasing his government secrets, I guess.
Oh, okay.
That's my guess.
Yeah. It's just... I'm trying to, even read the notes. Oh, yeah, because he then goes up to have the little action scene because there's the guy who's sitting outside the trailer that's holding her, and we get the weirdest reveal in the movie that seriously is never explained, where he knocks out the guy or shoots him or whatever, but then he walks to the side of the trailer and is able to phase through the side of the trailer to get inside and free Leah.
Again, he doesn't have the rock anymore.
No,
and he's never done this before.
No.
I don't get it.
And we have the shoes come and visit in the night, which I don't know if it was a ghost, because literally my note shows that I'm an asshole even when I'm not funny, and says, and apparently the shoes belong to Kevin Bacon. Oh, and there's a ghost now. because when they leave the rock, they then have because there's that wisp that's in the house, because there's the shoes, the body disappears, the door opens, and then you have the really crappy cheap Adobe After Effects ghost thing that comes flying in.
Yeah, which doesn't do anything ever.
No,
assumingly related to the rock again, but don't know.
Yeah. And then we have the desert. You don't remember that?
I don't remember this at all. Are you sure we're not talking about Double Down again?
No. We have the desert for a second because he's I don't know if he's visualizing himself walking through it. I don't know if it was part of a dream. But I have a note literally direct after the desert that says continuity is constantly established after things happen. Because after the desert part or before it, we end up seeing that Leia does actually have a speakerphone in her house. I did make sure to point that out.
Well,
the
good.
Notes do bear that she has an answering machine in 2013 in her house. It's one of those things that it's like, why do you need to show this? We know through the context of how you were talking that you were probably leaving it on an answering machine. Now 3 scenes later, you've shown, here's the phone that he was leaving the message on because somebody else is leaving a message now. But it doesn't serve any importance to anything.
Nothing in this movie serves any importance to anything.
Well, I mean, I guess it leads up to the big press conference that he has, and that's the important part, where he starts mentioning the government secrets that he has, but he doesn't actually mention what the government secrets are. He's just speaking in, vague generalities about people making mistakes, and he's got 4 speakers in front of them, and they keep on cutting to these shots of 5 to 6 people who are supposed to represent the heads of various different corporations who are somehow also in the same location where he is, but not directly next to him.
Yeah, it's clearly the same spot, but not the same spot.
Yeah, and he mentions things like the factual documents that he has, and a whole bunch of the different people who are standing off to the side. When he mentions, these people did wrong and these people are lying to you. They have a gratuitous montage of all these people deciding to commit suicide.
It's so amazing, and it's just you'd think they can't. I think several of them shoot themselves in the head in the middle of the press conference.
Yes,
one hangs himself. One lady goes and sits in her car in the garage. One guy slits his wrist. It's just and it just keeps going, and you're just holy
slitting the wrist
shit.
is just ridiculous. Because the majority of the people are outside except for the lady who's in the garage, and then it's just the guy in his bathtub, just slitting his wrist.
It's so insane.
And all of this is intercut with Neil Breen delivering his very monotone, speech.
Yeah, and you know that he wrote the speech and he was like, this is it. This is my big monologue. This is my moment. And it's just so terrible.
Yes. And to try to distract you from it, he has a sniper that's setting up, and has the really cruddy, I don't know what you call it, the reticle, basically, on Neil Breen's face, because he's going to get ready to kill him, and then somebody shoots the sniper.
Yeah, but we never find out who that is, ever.
Ever. Is it the ghost? Is it the ghost with the penny loafers?
It might be a penny loafer ghost. It could be he did it with his mind. He can teleport and walk through walls, so maybe he can execute people from far away.
I don't know. He then ends his speech with the words "Act now," and it kind of feels like he's advertising for people to take on vigilantism.
Yeah, you see, he read in a speech book once that you're supposed to end your speeches with a call to action. So he just literally told them to do it.
His call to the action is basically kill everybody and cause chaos until they release the documents that they're not going to. Release the factual documents that I have, but I'm not going to release them to you guys.
Of course not.
And then he ends up walking hand in hand with Leia through, I guess it's like an open field in a forest, and then you see another wisp of a ghost fly by.
And that's it. The movie.
That's it.
That's the movie.
It. I never understood what like the purpose, because they don't talk about the spirit or the supernatural at any point in the movie. There's no discussion to like even try to cover it up and be like, oh yeah, here we can hand wave this away.
Yeah, I don't. It's like they watched it and said, oh, we needed to cap off the supernatural part.
No, we don't have any more money. The desert's fully booked. I have to get this Rolls Royce back in the shop. But it's a decision. Like, that's the crazy thing about it. It's not like, oh, we wanted to shoot other stuff, but we didn't have the money to do so.
Yeah.
Like, that's the ending that he chose. That's right. The lasting image that he wanted to have.
Absolutely. And that's the weird, like, we've mentioned it a few times, both last week and now, about just, like, even through all of this, like, how much kind of respect I have for Neil Breen, which is crazy to say.
It's crazy.
He's not good at this. No. These are not good movies by any stretch of the imagination, but they're his, and they're yes. Unique. It's a Neil Breen film, and that phrase, a Neil Breen film, means something. And I don't know, like you kind of got to like. Props to you. Props for doing this and deciding this is what I like doing, and I'm going to do it. And it's
we're talking about a guy who only raised $5,500 of his $50,000 goal for GoFundMe for his next movie, and still said, "Fuck it, I'm still going to make the film." And like, I think he starts in maybe like a week or two.
Yeah.
So that's his dedication. People are saying, we're not going to give you the money. We don't really want to see another movie. And he's like, well, but I still got this many people to give me this much money. So we're going to make the movie.
Yeah. And I know you said that he does make money off of these. I think at least his last two films have been profitable is his what he words, says. Yeah. That's what he says on his GoFundMe. So, but I don't get the feeling that the money is why he's doing this, because even if these movies are profitable, it's probably barely. So, like, he's not doing this because he wants to be rich. He's not doing this to make money. He's doing this because I think the man loves films and he loves himself, and he wants to create this world for himself where he's the best, and he's doing it.
Sure, I'll say sure. Why not? I don't know. I can't figure it out. I'm not entirely sure. We're talking about a guy who's had some different jobs, who was a real estate agent for a period of time, for like a short period of time, because people say that he started out about it, and he's come out and been like, "Oh, I did that for as a lark for a short period of time." It's like, I don't know anyone who's like, yeah, I'm going to do real estate. And then like a week later, it's like, that was just for fun. I'm done with it now. I'm moving on. And we know that he's in architecture, and that's how he makes most of his money. So
yeah,
it's weird that like, it seems like it's a huge passion for him, but I don't know where it comes from. And like, that's what's interesting, is that if he didn't have this like outpouring, of people searching out his films, he'd probably still be making it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think the films serve as his way of feeding his own ego, and therefore any kind of reaction to it is a bonus. It's not
Validation.
necessary. Yeah. But it's validation, absolutely, but it's not like I don't think he needs that validation. I don't think like when he sets, like he wants people to I don't get the feeling that he's making these for other people to enjoy. I get the feeling he's making these very specifically for himself.
So that he can be turned on by almost nudity.
Yeah. I mean, like that's part of it. Absolutely. Like that's
his fetish.
I mean, he loves feet. Like this guy has a foot fetish like I've never seen before. The way he films feet is insane. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to, like, we can talk shit about them all day long, and we have, but it's hard to hate them because there's something.
It's so weird.
Yeah, they're weird, but there's something pure about them, which is weird to say.
I'm not sure if I'd say that.
I mean, I don't know. Like,
because the reason that it's hard to say that is because it's again trying to find that line of what is and what isn't. And there's a difference between what he's making and, like, if he's doing it and the movies are completely 100% sincere and it's being taken in the wrong context because of the way that we're convinced that movies should traditionally be, or if it's one of those that he's like, no, these thoughts and these things that I'm putting into these movies actually mean a lot to me. It is important to me. I am worried about, biological and chemical weapons. I'm worried about, state secrets and stuff like that. And I'm the person I think that can make a big difference about that. It's like, well, that's different, but it's never too pretentious in that way. And that's what you get with a lot of other filmmakers who are completely up their own ass, is that there is that weird level of pretension.
Yeah.
Whereas his lots of times is more so just misguided, I guess. Would that be the best?
I mean, he's just not good at it. Like he's not. He doesn't know anything about narratives. He doesn't know anything about shooting film. He doesn't know anything about lighting film. He's not a good writer. He's not a good actor. Like I guess you could call him a good producer in that he succeeds in getting the movie made, which is like the lowest producer bar ever. But it's a bar.
I'd love to see Neil Breen list himself as an associate producer.
But I mean, he's just not good at it. But the intent is there, and I agree. He doesn't come off as someone who's pretentious. Like,
but that's what's crazy about it, because like the way it's leaned into, especially the hacking in these two movies, comes off as somebody who's, very pretentious and crazy, and like, I got to get my message out to you. The government, they've got all the secrets. We got to get it from them. It's like, but the way he presents it, you're like, I'm not sure if you know anything about this stuff.
No, I mean, he clearly doesn't. Like, it's broad terms. It's conversation you have with your grandparents about, the government's got all those secrets. And that's
what conversations are you having with your grandparents?
The secrets, the government secrets. Is that what everyone has? The secret government?
No, I mean, first of all,
there's a chance my grandfather's a spy.
He's constantly talking about secrets and having flashbacks.
No, not at all. But
next time you see your grandpa, be like, so Grandpa, you had any weird dreams where you're naked in a room that's covered in black trash bags and there's a pedestal in the middle of the room with a box with the magic rocks in it?
I am absolutely not asking my grandfather that question.
Just, you never know what his response to be. If he doesn't answer you and he looks really confused and mad, then he's clearly a spy, because he's not going to tell you. It's a surefire method. Trust me.
I gotcha.
Trust me.
I'm going to try it out. I'll report back.
Yeah, there you go.
If I'm not dead.
Are you saying that if you found out that your grandpa was a spy, the very first thing that he would do is murder you?
I'm not removing it from the realm of possibility.
Well, yeah, but I still think that you have to do something to make him feel that way.
Discover all the government and corporation international secrets of the world?
Well, I mean, if your grandpa's a spy, he's going to be the one who's doing that. So that's your point's not making any sense. You're making as much sense.
What if he's a counter spy? A spy, counter spy. Game, set, match. So let's wrap this thing up.
Yeah. So we'll vote on each one individually, and then we'll vote on him.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I want to change it up. It's the year special, so we got to do something different.
All right.
Okay. So for Double Down, guilty or not guilty?
Double Down's guilty. It's not a very good movie, and it's not near as entertaining as it should be.
Yeah, I'll agree. I'll say that it's guilty. There's plenty of things that I like in it, just because it's confusing in different ways from Fateful Findings. Fateful Findings has a failure on a larger scale, whereas Double Down just has things that you're watching and you're like, you had very little to do, and yet you still messed this up. You have a man who's trying to eat tuna from a can while driving and spills 90% of the tuna onto him. Why is that the piece of character development that you chose?
I don't know. That's making me want to change my vote, though. I'm just kidding.
Okay. I'm sorry, Double Down. You are being launched into the Phantom Zone. You do not exist anymore. You can't hurt the populace. On to the next one. Fateful Findings.
Not guilty. That was a fun movie. It's bad. It's terrible, but in the fun kind of way. And I would show that to friends and watch it with them again.
Oh yeah. It's definitely have a couple drinks and enjoy, and then talk about the movie with each other and try to figure out the possibilities of what's going on. What is it of him that he's trying to put into this movie? Why is it supposed to be this conspiracy theory film that's also about this tortured relationship that these two people who aren't our main characters have, that, take up the majority of the runtime? There's so much to be discussed in all the decisions and everything that goes on into Fateful Findings that, yes, I definitely have to say that it's not guilty.
Well, good. Yeah. Now let's go with the man himself. It's 1-1, so...
Neil Breen, you start us off, Scott. If you're guilty or not guilty, give us a very passionate plea.
Okay. Neil Breen is an auteur. Neil Breen is a lover of cinema, and Neil Breen is not guilty because I want to see what this guy does. I am fascinated by it. I want to watch his other movies. I want to see this new movie he's going to fund basically by himself with $5,000 other dollars from some nice people. I am very fascinated by this person, and I think he's the perfect kind of terrible filmmaker. And like we talked about at the beginning, unlike Tommy Wiseau, he's not really milking it. I mean, Tommy Wiseau made one bad movie and then another movie, and then has just been milking the popularity of The Room for like 15 years now or something ridiculous. And that's not Neil Breen. Neil Breen is going to continue to make movies until Neil Breen is dead. And he deserves...
Or one of his movies kills him.
Yeah, or that. And he deserves at the very least, to not be jettisoned into an inescapable prison where no one will ever hear from him again.
Okay. I completely agree. Not guilty. We got to see what this guy does. We got to see if there's a point where, like, it'd be completely astonishing if all of a sudden, like, the filmmaking completely changed 100%. Doesn't sound like it's going to be like that, because in his video for the movie that he mentions that it has the working title of Twisted. Twisted isn't the actual title, but it's the working title. Unless it's actually the actual title.
How much you want to bet that ends up being the actual title?
It's going to be the working title. Like, he's got a video that's like 2 minutes long, and about 20 seconds is is him insisting that Twisted is not the working title, or is not the actual title. It's the working title, but there's a chance that a new title will take its place over the course of filming. Which is exhausting just to say.
It's a psychological thriller, though. I'm fascinated by this.
Wow, thanks. That's what I was going to get up to, because he makes a big show saying there are no agents, there is no hacking, there is no desert, but the film is a psychological thriller. And I stopped and thought to myself, and at first I was like, oh, cool, yeah. Psychological thriller from Neil Breen. That should be fun to see. And then I realized, no, he's already made a couple movies that he would probably tell you are psychological thrillers. So he's just not going to have any hacking or the desert, but he's probably still going to have most of the other trappings.
I think we know he's going to shoot feet, he's going to destroy laptops, and there's going to be some sort of magical rock in that movie.
Yep. I believe it. It's just, oh man, it's so weird just to just think about. You don't have many people who try to do this. So many, or like the types of films that he's making with like Fateful Findings and Double Down are movies that usually don't get out of like the small town where people live. And this type of production with having a small group of actors, limited locations, and everything, those films, they die by the small town. Somebody makes it, their friends watch it, they think it's fun, and that's it. So that's interesting to see that he's had 4 movies. He's working on his 5th movie now. It's terrifying and exciting at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I can't help but be excited. And like I said before we started, I didn't know this guy existed until you presented these to me, so I feel like a whole new world has been opened up to me now, and I am excited to see what else it has.
Yes, it'll be very exciting. To wrap up, again, we're very sorry for the technical issues that we have. I know that there's probably some stuff that we doubled up on. I'm
going to clean it up as best I can.
Yes. So who knows how it'll turn out? It'll probably turn out great since Scott's, going to be working with it. But we just wanted to apologize because there was a snafu that there wasn't really any way that we could fix it that evening. And so now we've got, these broken up segments here. But just wanted to thank the people who are listening. I know that we don't have, tons and tons of people, but the people who are listening to these episodes on a regular basis, that's awesome to hear.
Absolutely.
And let us know, contact us on Twitter, send suggestions of movies that you want us to cover. So just let us know, reach us out to us, tell us things that you want to hear, let us know of ways that we can make things better. We're here to have, the audience enjoy what we're doing as well. So,
we're not like Neil Breen. We're doing this for you guys.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So Scott, where can we find you on the internet? And is there anything that you want to plug?
Oh yeah. I am on Twitter at ScottDaly85. That's DALY. I also have a website, dailyplanetfilms.com, where you can find this podcast, but you can also find all the other podcasts we do there. I am a co-host of one called We've Got Worm, which is a podcast for the web serial Worm. We also have our Daily Planet podcast, which I'm working on doing regularly again. We have an episode coming up next week that's going to be about some of the recent Netflix movies, because my co-host and I realized that there have not been very many good theater movies for the month of August. So we were going to talk about Dark Tower, but it's just too bad to talk about. So we're just going to talk about some Netflix movies that are much better. So look for that next week.
Well, even the ones on Netflix that aren't necessarily that great are still interesting and worth a watch. And I made a point of tweeting out to kind of hit home one of those issues, is that for all the big pushes you see for, the new Netflix series, or they get a special movie on somebody being anorexic or bulimic. I'm not sure which one that movie touches on.
Anorexia.
But they also at the same time are picking up movies from film festivals with the intent of dropping them onto Netflix so that lots of people can see the movie. Like they just had one that was on there that was literally put out on the 4th, that was made in, I want to say it was France, that financed the majority of the movie. But it stars Chadwick Boseman, Alfred Molina, Luke Evans, and Teresa Palmer. And it's not like a big film. It's very much fits into like the Get Carter and Taken 9mm type of set, but like it's shot very interestingly. It's got some weird decisions that they make with the film. There's a couple of moments that subvert the genre. But it's a movie that's only on Netflix, and they bought it to put it out that way, and nobody really knew about it. The first trailer that they dropped for the movie showing that they were getting it was on July 25th, and then they put it out on the 4th of August. So there's some movies on there that might not be like the most amazing thing, but are at least interesting watches that they're not pushing up. So that's weird.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting that they advertise their original shows a lot, but when it comes to the films that they buy, you're right. They usually just kind of drop them, and there's not a lot of advertisement for them. I don't want to live in this world anymore, I think is the name of the film. That was a pretty good movie that they didn't really advertise any. They just dropped it on their service and let it be buried. And their new releases category is so terrible that
you
really
actually have to go to recently added. And you have to like scroll halfway through recently added to find the ones that have just been put out on like the last week. One that's been getting a lot of attention in the last couple days is The Transfiguration. I don't think that Netflix has really been pushing that movie at all. I haven't seen anything until people said, "Oh, and by the way, this movie's out on Netflix now." And it's a film that just was on the festival circuit this year. And the end of last year, because I think it was at Cannes last year, I want to say. And then it was at South by this year. And it's a crazy different take on the vampire lore. And it's a gut punch of a film because it's got lots on its mind, and it's crazy, but it's very assured of itself. It's got some absolutely terrific performances, but again, Netflix was like, "Oh, here you go. We're just putting it out." And it was a whole bunch of people on like Facebook and Twitter that mentioned it, and I was like, "Oh crap, I didn't realize they put that on there. I want to watch that again." So
yeah.
I can be found on Twitter at Adrian Torres. At the same time, as always, my writing is up on boomhowdy.com. Now that we've gotten up to date with this, there's several reviews that I have that are dropping on there. I have an Ingrid Goes West and the Glass Castle review that are up on there. And then over on boomhowdy.com, I reviewed Annabelle Creation. All the movies are about split down the middle. So they all make for different good discussion pieces, I think, though.
Yeah, that's great. Those are movies I have not seen yet, so looking forward to watching them.
And for our next episode, we are going to be watching a very short film that I had on the list of films for us to do in the future, but I'm moving it up several slots because the movie mostly takes place in the desert, and I felt that was the best follow-up to doing a movie that Neil Breen did in the desert was have somebody else do a film in the desert. And so it's a 1987 film called Project Nightmare.
Oh, I can't wait.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Until next time, everybody, take care.